I feel very threatened. I'm afraid to go out on my own. My sons won't let me go out on my own.
Ireland's anti-immigration backlash has spiralled into countrywide unrest in recent months, after a sharp rise in the number of foreigners arriving onto its shores.
Unfortunately, I think Ireland is becoming the new Sweden.
Protests, arson attacks, and hardening anti-immigration views have transfused Irish politics with a fervour not seen since the Troubles.
How long are you going to stay out here for?
As long as it takes.
My name's Michael Murphy, and I went to Ireland for the Telegraph to find out what Irish people make of the growing strife. I started my journey in Dublin, where hundreds of people turned out for an anti-immigration march.
It's like a mass plantation what they're doing here. There's so many unvetted male people being brought over to this country, and they're planting them all in around schools, parks, and we're all feeling very unsafe. We're worried for our children.
We cannot sustain a huge number, that level of foreign people living within the borders of this country, many of which are living off social welfare because they're being attracted here because of the loose welfare laws and immigration laws of the state.
Look after the Irish.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Look after the Irish.
Just messing around with our heads, this whole government, and I don't trust what's going on. I just want I think they're puppets for other powers, the elites, the WHO and all the rest of it. Puppets for somebody else, and they're not caring for our own people.
The Irish and the long-term homeless here from all over the world are living and sleeping in the streets. The council come and take their tents and burn their goods or dump them. And these people are on a housing list 20 and 30 years. But if you come in here off a plane with no passport, you're safe. It's just not right, so there. And to anyone listening to this, call me what the hell you like. Little do I care. Thank you.
Some people have described marches like this as far right. Are you far right?
No, I am a concerned father. I have 3 children. I have 2 daughters and I have a son, 11, 9 and 7. That's why I'm here. Listen, the mainstream media don't report on what goes on really in these areas. There's kids being abducted, there's kids being assaulted, there's kids being raped, there's women being raped, and the mainstream media will not report on it.
They've got total strife, total ghettoization. It seems like having seen the failure of that policy in countries like Sweden and in countries like Germany and France, we want to replicate it for some reason that I don't quite understand.
I went to Roscrea, where locals have been protesting for 3 weeks outside the town's only hotel, closed down last month after the government struck a deal with its owner to house more than 160 asylum seekers there.
We are one of the smallest towns in Tipperary and we have 85% of international protection applicants. That's a huge number for any town, but for a small town like Roscrea that doesn't have any resources, we have over 1,000 IPAs in town. There's only 5,500 of a population in this town. That's a huge amount to expect anybody to take on. But when you're walking past a group of men and they're saying something to you in a different language and you don't know what they're saying, it's very, very intimidating. There's women, older women and men here who won't go to collect their pension on a Friday morning in town because the post office, outside the post office is where they gather.
While the protests have been mostly peaceful, some have turned violent, including in Dublin last year, where riots broke out after 3 young children and a woman was stabbed, allegedly by a man of Algerian origin.
Now, this is one of more than a dozen such arson attacks that have happened in Ireland over the past year.
There are some TDs who have spoken out against immigration in the Irish Parliament. 6 of them have formed a loose coalition called the Rural Independent Group.
Well, look, I have never seen the feeling as strong. I've been elected since 2016 to the Dáil, and I have never seen the feeling as strong on the ground on that particular issue as it is on the issue of immigration. I do feel that people will protest at the ballot box, and I do feel that if government don't change direction quickly as I've stated before, that they will be punished, and I do believe that you will see more independent candidates and more candidates that are of the view that we are at an unsustainable level of immigration. But there is a lot of frustration over EU dictating everything that a country should do, including the numbers that they should take in and so forth. So there is definitely frustration over that dictatorship as some people see it.
Leo Varadkar's government says it can tackle the problems around immigration with better messaging and tougher laws to censor what it deems as hate speech. But the Irish public say their concerns are legitimate, a view which is becoming harder to ignore as it gains political momentum.